Welcome, special educators, back to my channel. This is Miss M to you, coming back with a very short video concerning the topic that I have, and it's called Send Them Home. Send them home. Send those kids home. They don't need to be here. They causing too many problems. I've said it 1,000 times. Now, I always talk about me because I don't know if anybody else said these things, but I have to be honest with myself. I've said send them home a whole lot. One of the things that I thought about is beginning of the year, people may like the kids come in, they're like in a honeymoon phase, right? Well, some of them, let me take let me take that back. Some of them are in a honeymoon phase, but then some aren't. Some come in blasted, ready to go. But I know for a fact, for me, by the time Christmas hits, Christmas break coming up, kids getting anxious, holidays coming up, we're gonna be off, off school for a couple of weeks. When they come back, by the time we hit February and get started with early spring, I am so quick to say send them home. I have no patience at that time. Now, is that right to do? No, probably not. But I'm going to be honest. I've said it. I've said send them home. So my question to you is, have you ever said it or thought about saying send them home? You know that one kid that you just know has disrupted your classroom. You send them to the office and then they come back smirking at you, smiling, because they know they ain't going home. It becomes frustrating at times. But what I've thought about and I continue to think about today is, what does sending them home do? What does sending those students home do? Because what happens is they'll go home, do what they do, and then come right back to school the next day and still do whatever behavior, or they may come back and be in a better mood. I don't know, but it just depends. But they'll go home and they'll come back and then they'll just do what they do. So does sending them home really help? I would love to hear some of your thoughts about that if you've ever experienced any of that. Does sending them home really help that student? Or is it just something that we as educators, special educators, have to tolerate? Do we have to tolerate the fact that sending them home really doesn't help them? Now, there are times when I know kids, I feel like kids should be they need to be sent home. But I will admit that I do have days where I'm frustrated and I'm not in the mood. I don't want to be bothered. And you coming in and you're causing problems. And when they do stuff or something or display a behavior that I'm not that's inappropriate, and I am quick to send them home. And I say it all the time. Ooh, he need to send him home, or they need to go home. I don't know why they're still here. They just let them stay here. They just let them just run around the school and do what they want. But in the end, those kids, most of the time, really at home, what are they going to do? They're with us, what, 8 hours a day? And then they go home and they get to do what they want. And then they come back to a school where there are rules and expectations. I'm not even going to say rules, but expectations for them. And they're trying to figure it out too. Now, that's the challenge that I have. And I want to know how you guys feel about that. How do you all feel about when students display a behavior consistently all the time, sending them home? Whether it's a suspension or going home for the day or whatnot, I are going to not even going to in school, because sometimes we have other disciplinary things that we do inside school. But when those things don't really help the kid, or the kid doesn't really understand what's happening, they it doesn't bother them, nothing phases them, what do you do in a situation like that? How do you get those students to want to be at school and want to learn and do whatever they need to do. And most of the kids that I've experienced, the kids that are the roughest or have displayed some of the worst behaviors, or the kids that that our students look up to, that some of the classmates look up to, and they start looking at them and they're saying, "Oh, okay, well, Bobby gets to do A, B, C, and D. Shantae did it yesterday. Why can't I do it?" So that is a challenge for me. So this is more of a challenge question, because I do admit there are times when I say they need to go home. They need to go home, send them home, and then I have to sit back and think about what did they actually do, because they got to go home anyway, right? They going home at the end of the day. When school is over, they going home. So sending them home 2 or 3 hours early, what does that do? And I'm not talking about the basic things that get you out of school, like, if you're putting hands on each other, those type of things. For my special educators, who we deal with constant behaviors all the time in the classroom, there are things that we deal with that I'm sure if someone would walk in your class, they'd be like, "Oh my goodness," because we do deal with a lot and tolerate a lot. So what do you do when you get to that point where you're just so frustrated? You say they need a break from school. They need time away from school. When you know for a fact that this is the place they need to be. They need to be in school. You know that. You know, truancy kids, kids that are more, they're never at home. They're more out in the streets. Some that they're up on their games all night. They sleep all day. They have parents and guardians that do the best they can, but they have to work. What do you do when it comes to those type of things? So after all these years, I still struggle with that. So when I say send them home, I have to pause for a minute and say, okay, why do I want this kid to go home? It's because I'm in my feelings and I'm mad, because that's not going to cut it. What contemplates this kid to go home? So that's my question to you today. What do you do? Or if you've ever had a situation where you felt like, send that kid home. Send him home. He ain't doing nothing but, or she's not doing anything but causing problems, distracting the other kids. They need to be harder on these kids. I've said that too. So, what's your thoughts on that? What do you do as educators? What have you said? Because I have to be honest with myself, and I know some of the things that I've said in regards to when I get frustrated, or if I feel like a kid needs to go home and things like that. It's all about honesty and accepting the fact that you are human and you are an educator and you have feelings, right? So thanks again for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. I hope that you all are able to relate to some of these things, and I will catch you next time.